Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar this afternoon. We are so pleased to have all of you join us. We have a lot of you coming in from the waiting room right now, so we'll give everyone an opportunity that is waiting to join the webinar. So we're going to get started just a second. It looks like there's a good number of you joining us. So again, welcome. We're so happy to have you. All right, still looks like we have some of you coming in. Get started in just a second. Okay, great. Well, I think it looks like most of you who were waiting in the waiting room have made it. And I want to start right at the top of the hour since we have 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. And I want to say welcome to everyone. And we are so excited that you have joined us today. My name is Amanda Watson, and I'm really excited to welcome you to this session today as we introduce you to Drake Tax Online, which is Drake Software's cloud-based solution that we have designed specifically for tax professionals like you. And I know that those of you joining us today, some of you may be Drake customers, some of you may be exploring Drake for the first time. And no matter who you are, you're in the right place today with us. And we're so excited to have you. So before we start, I have just a few housekeeping items just so that everyone understands and can know what's going on today. Again, my name is Amanda, and I'm going to be hosting the webinar. I have some guests that I'll introduce in just a moment. But first, I wanted to tell you that in the Zoom tool, if you have any questions, you will be able to ask those questions today using the question and answer or Q&A panel. Right inside the Zoom tool, you should be able to click on Q&A and type your question there. Due to the structure of our webinar, we don't have any live questions as a spoken, I should say, but we'll be happy to answer your questions live in that Q&A. We do also have a webinar chat available where you can find information. If we have any links to share with you, we'll be sure and enter that today. In about a week, you're going to get an email from us. No, excuse me, maybe it's 24 hours. I should have said 24 hours. You're going to get an email with us, so sorry, with an on-demand version of this presentation. So you will be able to view it at a later time. And with that, I would love to introduce you to one of our guests today and one of our panelists, Chris. Chris, introduce yourself to us.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Chris Saby. I'm a product manager with Drake Software. I've worked with Drake for almost 13 years now. The time has flown by, and my area of focus has been with our online tax products. And I'm really excited to be here talking to this group today about Drake Tax Online. So back to you, Amanda.
Thanks. And just a little bit about myself. I feel like I know everyone who uses Drake, but that's probably impossible. My name is Amanda Watson, and I've been at Drake for a really long time. I would say since 2003, so 22 years perhaps. So I have been a part of this organization for a long time, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. It's always one of my most enjoyable parts of my job is working with Drake customers like all of you, and even some of you who may be considering Drake. All right, so again, if you're just joining us, I see a few people came in after we got started. If you have a question, any questions, use the Q&A panel, and we'll be glad to get to those throughout the presentation today. And just a couple of other things. If you're interested in learning more about Drake software or obtaining any CPE that you may need, we have business success webinars generally almost every week, and you can find out more about those on our website. You can sign up and register for those. Those are, of course, no cost for those. We also have a website that may be interesting to you, drakecpe.com. And drakecpe.com is a place where you can earn CPE credit by taking various tax courses. We have webinars, on-demand training, and self-study courses. So you can get the CPE you need while learning more, especially in a year like this one where we have tax law changes. So you can learn at your own pace. And for Drake customers, we also have in-person, meaning live in a classroom, or virtual classroom training, all about Drake tax and the software and all of our supporting products and services, like Drake Portals, for example. We have a class just for Drake Portals. So if you're interested in any of these opportunities, would love to have you. And you can learn more at our website, drakesoftware.com. And I think that there are some additional links again in the chat for you to learn more. So again, today we're really excited to introduce you to Drake Tax Online, and Chris and I both introduced ourselves. So we'd like to learn a little bit more about you. So during the course of today's presentation, we will have some poll questions that we'd love to hear from you. So the first question we have for you, the first poll is, are you a Drake Software customer? Would love to know if you're a Drake Software customer. It helps us know who we're talking to today. So just take a moment and answer that poll, and that is very helpful to us. So, and then as we jump into our presentation, I have one more question after that, which would be our second poll question, because not only do we want to know if you're a Drake Software customer, we want to know what you're hoping to, what your goal is for today. Why are you joining us? Are you a Drake customer hoping to learn more about this program, the Drake Tax Online platform, or are you just evaluating a new tax software program for the upcoming year? So that second poll question will be launched in just a moment. Thank you for answering that, so we can know more about who we're working who's here today. So I noticed that a lot of you are already dropping in some Q&A and our questions, and some of those we'll get to in just a few moments. So and there's no CPE courses for this course today. Just I wanted everyone to know that. Okay, so with that, let's get started because I know that you guys have a lot of questions. So hopefully we can answer some of your questions throughout our presentation today. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Drake Software, I just wanted to take a few moments to tell you just a little bit about Drake Software and why we're here and what we do. Drake Software has been serving tax professionals since 1977 and was built specifically by tax professionals for tax professionals. Our founder, Phil Drake, was working in a tax office with his family and he saw a need and he developed software to fill that need. And since that time, Drake Software has had a reputation for reliability, performance, and exceptional customer service. And we built our platform, and all of the enhancements we've made along the years have been with tax professionals in mind, which means every feature and everything we do is centered around the professional and what would help you work more efficiently, more accurately, and of course, more confidently. Drake Software is an award-winning program that has won awards with the Journal of Accountancy, the NATP, and various prestigious industry organizations. We've filed millions of returns every year, and we have been there for tax professionals for many years. So I just wanted you to know a little bit about Drake Software. We have a long history in this space. And so, really, what we're going to talk about today is Drake Tax Online. So, I'm sure you all came to learn more about that. So, first, let's talk about why we built Drake Tax Online. Why now? Why an online product? Well, there are several aspects to offering an online tax product. And we know as tax professionals, one thing that you always rely upon is technology. And technology itself has evolved dramatically, especially if you just think about the last decade, for example. Technology has changed drastically and continues to change. And so Drake Tax Online does address some of those technology changes. And one thing that's really important to consider is the way we work has changed, especially in the last 5 years, I would say. And it has been evolving that way even before. But after 2020, the way we work changed for a lot of people. Remote teams are now very common. Tax firms may employ remote workers or need more flexibility about where and when you can work. Collaboration is really important. Collaboration across devices, time zones, even communication tools. So that is one reason that this product is really important. Another thing, well, let me just back up for a moment. And I think about in the early days, or when I started at Drake in 2003, which may not be the early days, um, we saw that a lot of tax work happened in a single office with a single computer or a single network. And now we see that more flexibility is needed. Um, that's no longer the reality for a lot of tax firms today, is to have a central office. We see people working across locations, as I mentioned, with remote staff, and often juggling multiple tools for communication, for access, and file sharing. And using a lot of different tools sometimes can become a little bit overwhelming. We also notice that tax pros, or we know that tax pros have a need for modern solutions today. Tax pros like yourself expect accessibility, mobility, and of course, a modern experience that will enable a seamless collaboration, not only with your clients, but with the staff in your office, with one another. And we know that today that software is really important. The tax prep process is really important. But we know that software has to do more than tax prep. It has to support how you actually work, which is why I've noted that workflow is essential. It's really important to how we conduct business today. And it's the tax engine itself and the calculations and the forms, that's critical, of course. And we understand that. But we understand that also workflow is really important for you. And taking client documents to e-filing of returns to delivering tax documents to your taxpayers, all of those are essential parts of the tax prep process, and that you rely on a network of tools for access, communication, file sharing. And workflow these days is not a nice to have, it is essential. And so, with those things in mind, we're introducing Drake Tax Online. And I want to make a few things clear that I think there's a little bit of misconception as I've talked to people as we're introducing Drake Tax Online, is that Drake Tax Online is not a replacement. It is not a replacement for the Drake Tax Desktop program. If you're using the Drake Tax Desktop program or considering using it, that is really the cornerstone of our tax prep engine and has been for many years. This is just an addition to our product family. So I want everyone to know, and I saw a question in the chat earlier, is this going to replace the desktop? No, absolutely not. This is not a replacement. This is just an additional offering for those professionals who may have a need that this product would meet. Second thing I want to make sure that everyone knows is that while we're releasing Drake Tax Online right now, we've actually at Drake Software been supporting online tax prep for many years, since 2008 to be specific. We have a product, or had a product historically we called Web 1040. And Web 1040 was a web-based solution for only Web 1040, excuse me, for 1040 returns. And over the years, our clients have filed millions of personal returns using our Web 1040 product. And this is just, we've added more features, and as Chris will show us in just a little bit, the addition of the capability to prepare some business returns online. So we wanted to add that capability, but I want you to know it's not new product. We've had a web-based product for many years. So what's new today is that we've have more comprehensive offerings, and we are trying to always work for you and create a flexible experience for the professionals who may need a web-based product and the power of Drake software in the cloud. So I'm going to tell you about a few features, and then we're going to jump into a live demo so you can see Drake Tax Online for yourself. But before we do, I have another poll question that I love you guys to answer. I'd like to know, have you ever used a cloud-based tax platform before? And it's a simple yes or no, or maybe you're not sure. Would love to hear from you to see what kind of experience you have using a cloud-based tax platform because it is a little different than a desktop. And again, if you missed it, we're not replacing our desktop program. Um, so thank you for helping us out with the slide. The more we know about you is the better that we can tailor our products and in this presentation specifically to meet your needs. So I want to tell you about a few key features and a few pain points that Drake Tax Online will solve for tax professionals. And the first thing that we have is Drake Tax Online. One of the key benefits is that you can work from anywhere, um, which is really amazing. You can work on vacation. I hope you don't. I try my best not to, but you can work from anywhere. And some key features that support your ability to work from anywhere is there's no installation needed with a web-based product. You log in through your web browser so you can work on your tax returns at your office or at home on the go. You can travel with your family maybe when you still have work to do and work right from anywhere you have internet access. There's no manual updates. You're always on the latest version of the program automatically. We do all of that behind the scenes for you. Make sure that your program is always up to date without you having to download or install any type of patches or updates. Another really nice feature of the work anywhere philosophy is that there's no data backups. Data backups are really important when you're using a desktop installation, but with a cloud-based solution or a web-based solution like Drake Tax Online, there's no backup data to manage. All of your data is securely saved in the cloud on our Drake servers. So it has built-in redundancy, so you don't have to worry about losing your data. And I know that that is a really scary thing that can sometimes happen with a desktop program if you don't have a good backup. So there's no backups to manage. You can also alleviate the burden that you may have on IT support. Some of you may be IT experts, and some of you may employ or hire out some of your IT work. But using an online based or a web based program can help alleviate some of those IT tasks. And that means fewer technical headaches and more time to focus on your clients. It can also alleviate some of those costs associated with hiring an IT professional to come out to your office. So again, I mentioned that it works in a web browser and you can use it from anywhere. And I should also mention that it is less restrictive on the device you use. So whether you use a Mac or a PC, and I mean, if you really wanted, you could do tax returns on your iPad. That doesn't sound very much fun to me because I like a really large screen. But of course, you have a lot of flexibility in the devices that you use. So work anywhere. If that's something that you're looking for, this may be a good option for you. Another thing that really lends itself well to the Drake Tax Online experience is customized workflows. Like I mentioned earlier, workflows are essential. Having an efficient workflow that works for you and your business is critical in today's world. And Drake Tax Online is built to adapt to your way of working. Whether you prefer a structure or a lot of flexibility, you can customize your workflow, tailor it to meet your needs with the Drake Tax Online product. If you want a more streamlined step-by-step experience, maybe you have new preparers who are just starting to prepare tax returns or have never used tax software, we have a guided workflow option, which will guide a preparer through all the steps needed to prepare a return. But maybe you like to move a little faster or you're really familiar with tax return preparation. We have direct data entry too, so you can pick what type of data entry works best for you. And not everyone in your office is locked into using the same type of workflow. And Chris is going to show us how this works as we look at the product in just a few minutes. Um, and the collaboration is something that is really great. You don't have to maintain a physical network because everything is networked in the cloud. And some key important features that I want to mention that are really important for workflow include integration with Drake Portals. And Drake Portals is our online secure file exchange platform where taxpayers can send documentation to you. You can send documentation to your clients, and you can seamlessly communicate and exchange documents securely. And I think that's really the key here through Drake Portals, and the integration is seamless. So there's no other application to hop around in order to do that. So the integration with Drake Portals is really important. Another feature that is really great when we're thinking about workflows is integration with Drake Pay. And Drake Pay is a service that means you can collect payments from your taxpayers. You can send them an invoice, they can pay it, and it all happens right. They're integrated with Drake Pay through Drake Portal. So there's no switching tools in order to collect payment. You can accept credit cards. It's really easy, and the integration is really wonderful. And all of this is really about letting you work the way that works best for you. And whether it's structured, whether you're a one person operation or you have a big team, this customized workflow that is enabled by Drake Tax Online is really going to be beneficial there. And this is really important too, and one of my favorites because I consider myself to be a tax person. The tax engine that we have been building we build since 1977, that's 48 years of a tax engine, is what's powering Drake Tax Online. So if you've used Drake in the past, that robust tax engine that hosts our desktop product is also what is there to calculate all of your tax returns. So it's the same tax engine used by our desktop program. And there's some, if you're not familiar with Drake, we were a pioneer in IRS e-filing back in 1986. We were one of the first transmitters to transmit returns to the IRS, which means that we have had a strong relationship with the IRS and continue to build on that e-file process to make your e-file seamless and efficient. We are an industry recognized leader in the industry and in this space. And that comes from staying laser focused on tax professionals and really listening to tax professionals like you. We have the return diagnostics built into our Drake Tax Online, just like our desktop product. And this again comes from being a pioneer in the IRS e-file. We are there to catch issues on return before filing. And all of that is integrated into Drake Tax Online, just like you would expect from our traditional Drake desktop product. It helps you save time, reduce errors, and have confidence in the returns that you're preparing. And of course, Drake Tax Online, just like any other Drake product, we include comprehensive federal and state forms, and we also include some of the locality forms. So while Drake Tax Online may be a new name, but it has a deep foundation of accuracy and experience that's powering that tax engine for Drake Tax Online. And I have another key advantage of Drake Tax Online, and that is modern security. In today's world, security is paramount. We have to um, we have to be very vigilant about security. It isn't optional; it's imperative that we pay attention to security. And over the last decade, I'm sure that you as tax professionals have heard a lot about security and how it's important. But Drake Tax Online is built with enterprise grade protections that help not only safeguard your taxpayers, but also safeguard your business and protect your livelihood. We use multi factor authentication as required by the IRS, but also that helps identify and prevent unauthorized access by anyone. All the data in Drake Tax Online is secured with a 128-bit encryption, and that's for data at transit and at rest. And that ensures that your client information stays private and secure. And we're continuing to enhance security. We work with various industry organizations that solely focus on the security of the tax system, protecting tax professionals. And you can be confident that Drake Tax Online is designed to meet the strictest of security standards. All the data is hosted on US based SOC 2 compliant servers that may be Greek to you, but it is important to know. It is in full compliance with the IRS and the GLBA regulations, and it's really important that we provide layered security to give professionals confidence in safely accessing and managing client data. So I felt like I would be amiss if I didn't mention the security that's behind there and that there is security built in to Drake Tax Online. Now we have one more slide before we hop into our live demo, and I'm really excited for you to see it. And Chris has been here building this. He's been working on Drake Tax Online day in and day out, so it'll be really fun. But I wanted to list some of the forms and schedules that you can prepare with Drake Tax Online. You can prepare federal returns, state returns, part year and non-residents. We have prior year returns available. Some of these have an asterisk because some of them will be available with interoperability with a desktop, and some of our forms may only be available on a desktop, but everything comes with what you need when you get Drake Tax Online. So I see that we have a lot of questions, and I want to turn, I want you to have the opportunity to see this product. Chris, are you ready?
Oh yeah, yeah, we're
Yeah.
ready.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to let Chris share his screen and I'm going to hop over here and answer some questions. And I know that you may have some questions for Chris too. So I'm really excited. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda.
Yeah.
I had to request screen share, so give me one sec.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. So,
There we go. We're good.
okay.
All right. I think everybody can see my screen here now, and I'm really excited to be giving this demo today. I'm gonna jump right into it. So this is our Drake Tax Online home screen. This is where you can manage some high-level account settings. You can access your software. This drop list right here on the home screen allows you to jump right into the tax software for our current program or for our prior year tax programs. One of the benefits here is that there are no installs needed. So these tax programs are ready to go whenever you are at the click of a button, wherever you're signing in from. So if you want to access this on your iPhone, don't recommend it, but you can do it. We've seen it happen. If you want to access it from an iPad, you can do that. We actually have a lot of preparers that work that way. And funny enough, earlier this year, I even saw in our analytics that we had somebody access from a PlayStation platform to look at their taxes, which was
Really
which was bizarre.
bizarre. Not me.
Yeah, so this is a huge benefit if you have an office with multiple employees because you don't have to manage things like installs or PCs or anything like that. And it's really easy to manage who has access to this and see what they're doing in here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the current tax software. So right away, we land on the tax software's home screen. We can immediately see the recent clients that we've interacted with. This dashboard shows us which preparer the returns are assigned to, which state tax returns are included in each of these, if there are any. And we can see our IRS acknowledgements show up here automatically as they come in. I have a couple of TACs, which are for test returns because this is all test data. And then we can see when this return was last accessed. Also on the home screen, we can search for a particular client's tax return if we need to. So if I don't want to look through my whole list, and I just want to look for somebody named Test, I can do that. And we can create brand new tax returns over here on the Create tab. Or if we want to, for whatever reason, if we just want to get in there and play around, we can create a test return. For now, I'm going to jump right into a tax return and show the group what that looks like. So I pre-created this tax return for Captain Crunch. We're going to get right into it. All right, so whenever we open a return, we land directly on the taxpayer information screen. This is where we provide some general demographic data about our client. In this case, I pre-filled the data, but these fields are really easy to navigate. So once I select the field, after I type in my entry, I can just use the tab button on my keyboard to navigate around and jump right to the next one. If I want to, I can also just scroll and click on any field to make my entry there. So once I complete the demographic screen, in this case, I've completed it, I can click the Save and Continue button at the bottom, and that starts guiding us through preparing the tax return. So Amanda mentioned this. We do have a guided workflow process where we guide the tax preparer through some common forms and situations that come up during tax season. Each year, our tax experts review all of the up and coming tax law changes that are happening, and they update this guided experience to make sure that we're always covering all major items that we need to and making sure that we're guiding you down the right path. And throughout this guided experience, we have helpful text and links and even wizards. I'll go next to the dependent section, like this one that helps you understand if your client is eligible to claim a dependent. And all of these different items we put in here to help guide a tax preparer as they're working with their client. So as you answer the questions in this guided experience, I'm going to go ahead and just say, yes, I had a dependent. We suggest forms to you based on your answers. So when a form is suggested, you can click the button to add a form. Or some common forms have grid view data entry enabled so that if you have multiple forms to enter, you can do that quickly and efficiently. So I'll just type in some test data here, and you see as soon as I tab out of here, it lets me start on the next dependent if I want to. And I'll just go ahead and delete these guys. All right, so I'm going to continue through this guided workflow. And I won't go through the whole experience here, but you can see that we have a robust interview where we cover dependents, various types of income. We cover your due diligence questionnaires, deductions and credits and healthcare, and even common state forms. And we have these next buttons on every screen to guide you directly to the next section. If you don't want to navigate like that, you can also click on any category to jump directly to that place. So the guided experience is a really great way to get to learn the software. It's also really useful for new employees or even new tax pros. I've talked with some of our customers who use this as a guide as they're interviewing their clients in a face-to-face meeting. But with Drake Tax Online, we're all about speed and efficiency. So this guided experience is here if you need it, but we don't want it to get in the way of being able to quickly prepare a tax return. So for more experienced users who know exactly what forms they want, we have a couple of options. First, if you look in the top left corner of the screen, we have this form code search. And what this does is if you enter in one of our form codes, it's going to send you directly to that form. We have a long list of form codes, which can be found by clicking this link to our form code guide. And you see we have 5 pages of various codes that let you get directly to those forms really quickly. So entering in any of those codes is going to send you directly to that screen. I'm going to type in W2 just to show you guys. Type it in right there. I'm on the W2 screen. And I'll exit out of this for now. We'll revisit this later. But for now, I'm going to keep showing you some of the navigation parts. We also have this review forms section, and I can get there by clicking the link on the left. And here, you can view all of the tax forms for any tax authority that's been added to this return. In this case, I can view the federal forms that I've already added, which is just a taxpayer identification screen. If I want to revisit it, I just click the link. And I can see that I haven't filled out any forms for North Carolina just yet. For each tax authority, we've separated the forms into different categories. So if I'm looking for a specific income form, let's say like the Schedule C, I can either type C up here in the form code area at the top, or I can come here and navigate to income and find it in the list. That's the first one in there. Or if I want to, I can use this form search to help me find it. So in this case, I'm just going to type in business. And I see it came up there as result number 2. And it also shows me any other forms that are related to business. So I do want to give you all a look at what actual form data entry looks like. So I'm going to jump into one of our most common forms, the W2, and I'll just use a form code search to take me right to it. Right away, you'll notice some blue highlighted fields. This is what the required fields look like on our tax forms. So these are fields that we need to fill out in order to make this return eligible for e-file. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling this out. Whose form is this? I'm going to say it belongs to the taxpayer. Next question, is the employee name or address different than what you entered on taxpayer information? Well, in this case, I don't remember what I entered on taxpayer information, so I'm going to click this link. It's going to pull that information up for me. And I'm going to say, yeah, no, it's the same address, so I'll answer no here. And then I'll move down to the EIN field. One cool item that I'd like to call out, if you pay attention to this help area here on the right, as I go through the fields, the field level help changes depending on what field I'm on. So you'll always have some helpful information to guide you in what to enter in these fields if you need it. And that changes on each field that I go to. But I'll come back up here to the EIN and enter in something. All right, you'll notice that the name and address fields for the EIN automatically populated. This is because the software has an EIN database. It remembers EINs that you've entered before, and it automatically pre-fills those fields for you if it's something that you have entered before. So I will now jump down here into entering some federal amounts. And you'll notice on this form, we have blind verification where we ask that wages and withholding amounts are entered in twice to ensure accuracy. We also pre-fill several of the fields here using the proper IRS percentage calculations just to help make data entry as efficient as possible. So now I'll see if I can remember the wages that I entered the first time. I think it was just 45. Yep, and we'll continue to put in some state income. So I'm just going to scroll down. I'll just put in some test data for the state. And right now I'm using my keyboard. I am just tabbing through the fields, entering the data as I get to them. So I'm going to go ahead and save this form, and you'll notice in the field help section, I can save the form at any time using the save button up here. Or if I want to, I can scroll to the bottom and use this button to save the form. So I'll go ahead and save. All right, so what I did here was I tried to save the form, but I have some missing information. Every time that happens, we're going to call it out and make it easy to find. We want to make sure the tax returns are prepared accurately the first time so that we prevent any issues down the line. So in this case, I'm missing the federal withholding verification amount. And I'll just come in here and put some data. And then I'll use the save button over here on the right to finish the form. Once the tax return is finished, I can go to view return in the top right corner of the screen. One thing that I want to call out before I do that, I saw a question in the chat a little while ago about like constant updates to the refund and tax due amounts. We do that on the balance screen. We have a running total here of what the refund amount is or tax due amount. We also have this quick count button. And what this does is it automatically takes the relevant calculation data and it shows it to you anytime. You can use this anywhere in the return process that you are. You can use it on a tax form or anywhere else, and it's always going to show you the most up-to-date tax information for this return. All right, so back to reviewing the return. So once the tax return is finished, I can go to view return in the top right corner of the screen to review it. We have a lot of options for what you want to show here. These kind of dedicate which set we print out. So if we want to print something out specifically for our clients, we can go to client copy. Something for our office, we can do a preparer copy. If we just want the federal tax forms, we can do that. We can add e-signatures. We can view signature docs only and things like that. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and view the full return. This is going to print out everything that I have that I've prepared so far. I can also add watermarks here if I want to. And in this case, I'll leave it as none so we can see the tax form. All right. So this opens automatically after I click to view the return, and I can flip through any page in the tax return to review the entries. I can make sure the 1040 looks good. I can check any schedules or worksheets. This is a pretty simple return, so it doesn't have any. I can look at the tax computation. There are tax year comparisons that print out. In this case, this is a new return, so I don't think it's going to have any. But this is kind of an example of what that looks like for North Carolina. I can look at the engagement letter, the client letter, and even the client bill if I have set up pricing. In this case, I haven't. So I'll jump back into the software now. I also have the option, if I'm signed up for Drake Portals, to share this tax return securely with my client directly from here. So if I want, I can seamlessly set up a portal for this client and share this stuff with them directly from the tax return workflow. I'm not going to go through the whole process, but this is an example of what that screen looks like. This will allow me to set up the portal for my client, send him the return for his review or his e-signature, receive documents from the client right here, send an invoice and receive payment for the return. So this is a really efficient way to streamline that client communication in a really secure way directly from your workflow. With that, I'm going to jump right back into the return. So let's pretend that I have finished this return. I've sent it for e-signature. My client sent it back. It's great. I got the signature. And now I'm going to go ahead and e-file. So whenever I'm ready, I'll click on File on the left. I can review any additional return info here. We show the refund, the taxable amount. We have some additional information. If we're set up with a bank product, we would see that bank product information here. And if there's anything stopping us from actually e-filing the return, we're going to display that right here in an easy to see format. It looks like I still need to put in my ERO PIN signature. I do want to call out that we have thousands of these messages that we identify things and make sure that they're easy to fill out and easy to prepare and easy to get back to. So in this case, I just need to click this action button. It takes me right to the screen that I need to fill out. So now I can fill it out and continue filing. And for the PIN signature, I'm just going to choose today's date. I'll put in my PIN signature. Most browsers remember what you put in here, so it's really just a click and a click to fill that in. And now my return is clear of diagnostic messages. I see that my federal return is eligible for filing. My North Carolina return is eligible for filing. And I'm going to go ahead and e-file. And I can do that right from here with the click of a button. So my return is being e-filed. It's been transmitted. That's awesome. So once I e-file, I'm taken here to the return status page where I can view my acknowledgements. In this case, I'm not going to have any just yet, but eventually I will get some test acknowledgements for this one. And then when I do, I'm also going to get a notification here on the home screen when I get a new acknowledgement. So I think I went pretty quick, but that is the tax return workflow. I've been really excited to show this off. So thank you guys for listening to the demo. And with that, I think I'll hand it back over to you, Amanda.
Okay, Chris, thank you. That is so exciting. Chris, we had a lot of questions. I've been working away at answering some of these questions in the chat, and I think that a lot of customers or a lot of people in the chat may be confused about using the desktop and Drake Tax Online simultaneously, um, in the ways that like, is this a separate product than the Drake Tax desktop product that they've traditionally used?
Yeah, well, I think I can help answer that. This is a separate product from the desktop product that you've traditionally used. In this case, the data, it's all going to live in the cloud. So you don't have any local data on your hard drive. There is a mode where you can use desktop data entry mode directly from the online portal. This is a really cool feature that if you prefer, instead of doing data entry online, you click a launch button. It takes you into Drake Desktop. You prepare the tax return however you'd like to. When you're finished, it syncs back to the cloud and you e-file from the online platform.
Right. Okay. And that's great. And I think that that's what we were calling interoperability
Yep.
earlier. But where it's not really intended for half your office to use desktop and half your office to use Drake Tax Online simultaneously. You would start returns in Drake Tax Online, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Okay.
So to use interoperability, you need to have a copy of Drake Tax Desktop, which comes with the Drake Tax Online purchase. And this copy of Desktop is specifically for this web data entry mode. So it's
Mhm.
not going to be a full-featured copy of Drake Tax Desktop. It's meant specifically to use with the web product or with our Drake Tax Online product.
Mhm.
And you really have flexibility in the way that you use it. So if some tax preparers in your office really love desktop data entry, they can start the return online, prepare it fully in the desktop, and go back online to e-file it. If others really love the online data entry, they can do that. So it's really built for flexibility.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for clearing that up, Chris. I really appreciate that. Yeah. And I think that some people may have been expecting it to look a lot like the desktop, like it to be like hosted more than a web-based functionality. We have a question like, does Drake Tax Online have a view that resembles Drake Desktop?
Um, yeah, well, so the answer is sort of. If
Sort
you
of,
use
yeah.
the desktop data entry mode for it,
Mm.
the online tax forms they have like a more modern online feel than our traditional Drake Tax desktop data entry screens.
Yes, of course. Thank you for that, Chris. And I think it's important to know that you can still navigate it the same way that you use the desktop. Like I've used the desktop for many years, and when I want to access a screen in Drake Tax Desktop, I want to go to the, Schedule E screen. I just type in E and hit enter. You can still do that in Drake Tax Online,
Yes,
right, Chris?
absolutely. Yep.
Yes. So I
And
think.
and I'd like to call out that the form categories that we show on the screen, they are the same, actually the same form categories that we have in the desktop product. So if you're used to finding something on the credits tab, you'll
Mhm.
find it on the credits tab. If you're used to finding it on the income tab, you'll still find it on the income tab.
Yeah. Okay, great. And there's a question here. I have a few questions I'd just like to ask you and then we can wrap things up in a few minutes. But when you were e-filing, you e-filed one return. And when you e-file returns in Drake Tax Online, can you e-file in batches or do you just e-file returns as you finish them up?
Currently, we e-file returns as we finish them up. Batch e-filing is something that is on our minds. So we
Mhm.
are looking into the possibility of adding that in the future, but today that feature doesn't exist.
Okay, perfect. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. I know that you have a list of things that you're working towards to continue to enhance it. There are a lot of questions about the business returns, and I know we briefly mentioned interoperability. Can you tell us which return types that you can do in Drake Tax Online?
Yeah. So in tax year 2025, we will have native support online for 1040 returns, 1120S returns, and 1065 returns. Um, all of the other business return types that are available in desktop will be available to start and finish online, but we're going to push people into using interoperability for data entry. So you can do everything online except the data entry portions, which aren't supported online yet.
So just to like wrap my head around that and everybody else that's here, so I can do 1040s, 1120s, and 1065 all in the web, right?
Yep.
And if I want
Yeah.
to do, let's say a 1120, I would start in the web like all of my other returns, but I'd click a button and it would open a desktop program and I would do the data entry there and then finish everything up in the cloud.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the
Okay.
workflow is going to be exactly like what I showed on screen, except those data entry portions where you're filling out like the W-2, or I know there's no W-2 in the 1120 package, but you're filling out the shareholder information.
Yeah.
You would do that in a desktop data entry mode, and then it would send you back online to finish.
Yeah. And Chris, there's also I have a lot of questions here, and I haven't specifically addressed everyone about third-party programs working with Drake Tax Online. And I know that, Drake Portals is a great solution because it's integrated. Drake Pay is integrated. And it's like third-party programs like Tax Dome. People have asked about that. And what I've done, Chris, is I referred people back to that vendor because we don't develop that product, so we can't speak to it. Is that what you would say too, Chris?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a fair way to
Hmm.
put it. One of the benefits to being online is like we have the capability to integrate with all these third party programs.
Hmm.
So one of the things that we're doing kind of in the background is evaluating what is a good fit for us to integrate with.
Yeah.
Um, and there's going to be a lot more to come on that soon, but
Yeah.
yeah, so coming
Okay.
soon.
Perfect. Yes, there's a lot more coming soon. And I know that you, Chris, and the team have put a lot of hard work into getting this ready, and we're really excited. And I think that I know we still have some questions, and I'm not abandoning all questions now, but I'd like to share my screen again, Chris. And let's see. I just need to go back to the right place to share my screen here. Um, I want to talk about like who's a good candidate for Drake Tax Online. And let's see, I'm sorry, I think I didn't share the right screen here. Who's a good candidate for Drake Tax Online? And who would you say, Chris, is a great candidate for Drake Tax Online? Because it's not for everybody, right?
Yeah, I'd say that that's right. I think probably who's a great candidate are newer entrants to the market. So like
Oh,
newer
yeah.
preparers, newer firms, or those who are kind of trying to expand their tax practice
Hmm.
and they're looking for better ways to work with their employees, kind of maybe
Uh-huh.
in a new work environment. And I when I say
Yeah,
that I mean like we've observed a lot of new ways of working. Like people want to work
right.
remotely. And they don't want to all be in the
Mhm.
same office all the time anymore. And I think this is a really good fit for those types of firms.
Yeah. Yeah, another good candidate I think of, Chris, is like mobile tax preparers. And,
Yeah.
I've worked with tax preparers for years, and there's always been a challenge for, you know, I talked to a gentleman recently who was preparing returns on his laptop for elderly individuals, and he was going to their houses or to different facilities, and was trying to connect that back to his office, and it was just an IT nightmare. So I think like mobile tax preparers or people who like get out into the field. I think that they could be a good candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. And like recently, just this past year, I was working with one of our customers who did exactly that on their iPad. They would go and meet customers in coffee shops or wherever just
Hmm.
to start the tax return process. They'd collect
Right.
their taxpayer information, get to know their customer, and then later just collect all the extra documents they needed in the portal and fill out the tax return on their home PC.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know if it was you, Chris, but someone was telling me about a customer of ours who was doing farmers returns and like going out to the field and like to the farm and like doing 30 people's returns right there at the farm. So I
Yep,
know that
yep.
there's people who have that niche of farmer returns because they're not easy by any means. Yeah, and I do think that you're right, though. I see a lot of people who have remote preparers or remote staff. It definitely opens up the door for staffing when you don't have to have someone that can come into your office. And I also think it's a great, I'd love to hear what you think about document sharing and just the portals, all of that integration. I think that that's really great to have everything in one platform. So somebody's trying to simplify their tech stack, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the huge benefits, and we've gotten some really good commentary about how integrated the portals process is and how people can like
Mhm.
send this stuff to their customers right through the tax return workflow so they don't have to go to a different app to do anything and it's easy and best of all it is secure so you know that your customers are securely getting their documents. You don't have to send it through email and worry about any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that brings us, look, we have another poll question that I'd really like to learn more. And I know that we only had about an hour today to cover everything. So we had to do very high level overview, and there's a lot of details that we didn't cover just to try to get everyone a high level overview. But our question is, how do you think that Drake Tax Online will fit your needs? And we're really interested to know. How confident that it can meet your firm's need for tax year 2025? Very confident, somewhat confident, not confident, or I need to explore more. We would love to hear from you to see what you think. And we'd like for you to be able to get more information in your hands. As I said, Chris and I we had a short period of time. If you'd like to know more about Drake Tax Online, we have some ways to do that. If you want a free trial or you'd like a custom quote, you can connect with us by visiting us at drakesoftware.com. There is a specific link in our chat today that will take you right to the Drake Tax Online page. You can call our sales team at 800-890-9500 or drop us an email at sales@drakesoftware.com. And after this webinar is over, you'll get a survey. And one of the questions there is, what types of topics would you like to learn more about? Would love to hear about what topics you need, even if it's about Drake Tax Online or a certain segment of Drake Tax Online. Would love to know more about how we can help you with that. And I see a lot of questions about pricing, and I answered some of these here. And, that's a great question, and I know it's probably at the forefront of everyone's mind. And so I just want to address it here. The way that Drake Tax Online is a price is tailored to meet your firm based on the size of your firm, how many returns you prepare, the number of users, excuse me, and the services you need. And we know that everybody's firm operates differently, so we want to work on you to get the right package and to quote you the right package. So the next step to get you a price is to connect with our team so we can learn more about your setup, so we can be sure that when we give you the price, it's the right price for your setup, because it is tailored to your needs. So we'd love to have that conversation with us. You can contact us, and we'd be to happy to get that information in your hands. I understand that you want a specific number, and it may be different depending on your firm. I do see some questions here about Drake Zero, Chris, and I had a few questions about Web 1040. And they're saying, is it the same thing? Can you answer that question for us, Chris?
Yeah, so historically, we've offered the Web 1040 and Drake Zero products. This is built on the same platform that those were built on. The primary difference is that we're expanding the feature set and including the ability to prepare additional return types online, um, in an effort to have full tax compliance available online, really wherever you are. So we have a long history of preparing 1040 returns online. As Amanda mentioned, we've filed millions of returns over the past 16 or 17 years with those programs, and this is the next evolution of that.
Yes, yes, it is. So yes, we've had a long history of that. So that's really exciting. I think we have a few more questions. There's a lot of questions that are duplicated. And unfortunately today we didn't have time to show the interoperability in our demo today, but we can definitely, if you reach out to us, we can get the demo in your hands or the trial in your hands so you can see that, or someone here can walk you through that. Um, and a lot of people are asking about GruntWorks, Chris, and I think we would really have to work with GruntWorks to see how that would
What?
integrate. Do you have any information?
Yeah.
Oh, good, perfect.
We learned this year that through the interoperability feature with
Hmm.
Drake Tax Desktop, so using that desktop data entry mode, you
Hmm.
can import your GruntWorks data to the
Oh,
online
good.
return. So really, you would upload the GruntWorks the same way you normally do today, and then when you access that return in desktop data entry mode from the online platform, you can import it, and then it syncs back to the web. So yes,
Perfect.
yes, it does work.
So you can use the interoperability on any return you want,
Yeah, absolutely.
even a 1040.
Yes, it works on 1040s, on business
Oh,
returns.
okay.
Yeah, full featured.
Okay. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate that. Hopefully we're able to answer most of those questions live or kind of collectively. But I think that our time has ended for our webinar today. We enjoy having you all here, and thank you for joining us. Again, if you want more information, you can head out to our website. You can go to drakesoftware.com, then go to products, and there's a drop down there where you can select Drake Tax Online. There is a link to the specific Drake Tax Online page right in our chat today, or you could call us or send us an email, and we'll be happy to help you answer your questions and get you a free trial. So thank you so much today, Chris. We could have done it without you.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and thanks to
Thank you.
everybody here. We love talking about this stuff, and we're
Yeah.
glad that you're interested in it. This was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it is awesome, and we're excited to hear more and see the results for our poll today. The more we know about how we can serve our customers, the better products we can offer. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Thank you.